Good morning or good noon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. So we're going to immediately start with the presentation of today. The presentation or the webinar that we're doing is about the contingent workforce management plan that we created that could support you in all your wild plans and dreams for 2026. Just the agenda of today, we're going to talk about some trends shaping 2026, explain a bit also why we did this initiative and how to use the template, and of course we're going to share some conclusions on the topic. Just a bit of my background. The last 20 years I was involved in HR tech in different initiatives. My main occupancy is Connecting Expertise, which is a SaaS platform supporting companies in their sourcing and management of contingent workers. Next to that, we have different other initiatives that we or invested in or that we started up during the last 10 years. The common nominator between the initiatives is that we use HR tech to enable the companies working with their external workforce, and we help them do it better than they did before. So let's kick off the key labor market trends shaping 2026. We talk about war for talent. It certainly still is a war for talent, but for specific profiles, when you look at security profiles or the newer roles, AI or data-driven profiles, there is still a shortage, or there is a shortage effectively. But for a lot of other more operational roles or general roles, it's a buyer market. So that means there's less demand and more candidates available on the market for the demand that is available. When I'm fighting with my cursor, why is it not moving forward? Yeah, voila. Next to that, of course, there is AI. Everybody's talking about AI and the impact of AI. It's definitely redesigning work as we know it. The practical examples that we have is, for example, lawyers, junior lawyers that start, they have less work to do because a lot of the stuff is automated. So we see more and more roles, jobs where we have a hybrid functioning between the worker, the brains of the person and the hands, and the tech supporting the workers. So it definitely will have an impact on the future number of new roles coming available on the market and jobs. We see a shift in skills that are required for jobs. A very practical example, earlier this week, I had a call with a young guy, 22. I hope he's not listening, or yeah, he can be listening. The guy was working from his sleeping room, living at his parents' house. He finished high school after 1 year. He decided, no, this is nothing for me. And he started up a business where he helps small and medium enterprises optimizing their sales processes, working with N8N, AI tools, knitting them together in a process that facilitates more leads, a more optimized workload for the salespersons and companies. So that's the type of jobs that we will be seeing more and more in the future. Next to that, we see that the jobs that are available, there are people being capable of filling in the jobs and job openings, but we also see that the world is becoming more and more of a global world, not a local world. So companies are working with external people or labor being situated in different countries, different regions, working remote. So that's also one of the challenges that we're facing looking at the labor market. Now, why did we launch this initiative? We launched this initiative because we noticed that in average 30% of the total workforce is contingent. That means that if you have 100 workers, 30 workers are external contractors. That can be a freelancer, a temp labor contractor, a consultant working for you, a student. So, but that's an average. We see some departments having 50%, some departments only have 10%, but it's a growing percentage in general that we see on the market. If we talk about 30%, we can only conclude that the external workforce is really a key element when you look at the total workforce. So having a good strategy is quite important when you look at that contingent workforce part. And we also see that for the small and medium enterprises, there is no real strategy in place when you look at the contingent workers. Whereas with the larger companies, we see that 50% of the larger companies have one or more initiatives going on looking at that contingent workforce. So that's the reason why we created this template. It can be used really as a framework where you can delete stuff that you don't require, or you add stuff. You can really use it as a playbook and as a guideline. There are several links to other white papers in the template that you can activate, or also a business calculator. We will also send this template to everybody's participating to the work, to this webinar. So you will receive the template after this session also, which doesn't mean that you need to stop watching, of course. So enjoy the ride. The template contains several chapters. We talk about the current situation, which is actually a snapshot of your current situation. You can document the spend, the contract types, the sourcing models that you have. And we also use one of the famous procurement methods to map your different suppliers in the 𝗀𝗃𝗃 matrix. So what is this matrix about? It plots your different suppliers and it makes it more visible whether the suppliers that you work with are strategic or more routine suppliers. Why is this important? If you look at a strategic supplier, which typically delivers complex services and has a high business impact, well, it will be a different way of negotiating with them than with a routine supplier. With a routine supplier where you have low business impact and low supply risk, the negotiation strategy will be different than your strategic supplier that you don't want to lose, obviously. Then in another chapter, we will look at the challenges that you face as a company. So we give example of different challenges. You can, some companies have for specific profiles a talent shortage or compliancy issues or a spend issue, or a lot of companies that we talk with don't have a clear view on how many active contractors they have in place. So in this chapter, we will give you tips and tricks to map the challenges that you have. In the to-be state, we talk about what challenges that you want to tackle. So you have to define a focus, one or more different focus areas. Of course, you make the cross-link with your challenges. You validate the different sourcing models. What we see actually in the market is that companies are combining different sourcing models. So you can, for example, work with an MSP for, let's say, IT contractors, and you can work with a direct sourcing strategy for the general functions, the other general functions that you have in place. And you can work with a master vendor structure or model for your temp labor contracts, really depending on your as-is, the numbers of contractors that you're facing, the challenges that you have facing them, and the needs specifically linked to the contract types that you have. There is also here a link to another white paper that we wrote about the different ways of sourcing, where we explain the different definitions of every sourcing model with all the advantages, disadvantages. But we really advise you to focus on the quick wins, because later when you are going to create a business case, the quick wins will be important to defend that business case. So the examples that we provide in this chapter can be used as an inspiration, inspiration for this. In general, it's an open door for a lot of the participants here. We really advise you to think SMART, and SMART stands for specific, measurable, acceptable, realistic, and timed. So if you define, or if you take into account those 5 elements, your to-be state will be more prone to success. Now, the business case, also an important part, because in the end you will do this to create savings. We make the distinction between hard savings and soft savings. Hard savings can be reduction of the spend, can be a lower workload of all the involved people, whereas soft savings are more improvement of compliancy, faster throughput time, better access to talent, and so on. Against those savings, there is also an investment that you need to take into account. When I look at investments, I see 2 different components. We're talking about implementation costs. Those are one-off costs. And we're talking about recurring costs. They can be yearly, monthly, performance-based, spend-based, whatever. And in an ideal world, the costs are far less than the savings that you are looking at. You can also be creative looking at the costs. We see a lot of initiatives where companies are looking at a buyer or vendor-funded model. The difference between the two is in a buyer-funded model, the company who's sourcing the contracts are paying all the costs of these contingent workforce initiatives. We have a vendor-funded model where the suppliers are paying the costs of the model, and we have hybrid models. An example of that we did at bpost in the past was that for every project sourcing contractor who is starting new, the first day was non-billable for contracts for more than 30 days or 20 days. So that means if you have 100 starters at an average of 700 euros a day, you already have a saving of 70K, which is kind of a lot, and it helps you fund the initiatives that you're doing here. We created a template also to map the savings and to implement the savings. I have a short video of 2 minutes, I think, that I can show here. 2 minutes, 4 seconds. The template link will also be provided in this template. So this is specifically a short example on how to fill in.
Hi and welcome. In this video, we'll guide you through how to complete the savings calculator and walk you through a concrete example. Define the number of current contractors for your company to start building your business case. Let's take 100 in this case. Input contractor working days per year to calculate your current spend accurately. Add the average daily contractor fee. Let's assume 780 euros. This results in total spend of 15,600,000 euros. Now let's add yearly turnover of your current external workforce. Let's say average contract duration is 3 years, which in case of 100 contractors leads us to 33% turnover. Next, define the percentage of those 33 replacement contracts that you want to source through preferred supplier list. Let's take 85% in this case. And let's say you'd like to source the remaining 15% of the new contracts more broadly, for example, through direct sourcing on the Connecting Expertise marketplace. Now let's enter the savings for contracts sourced through preferred suppliers. Based on our experience and best practices, these typically range between 3 and 7%. So to stay on the safe side, we'll go with 4% for this example. Next, let's define the expected savings for contracts sourced through the CE marketplace. From our experience, these usually fall between 5 and 15%, so we'll take a value within that range. Let's assume that for contractors sourced through the CE marketplace, you'll activate optional brokering service at a rate of 15 euros. Add current workload days for a clear before and after impact analysis. Let's assume 400 euros of daily admin costs. Add new reduced daily workload achieved through the process automation. Let's assume 40% decrease. All these input will generate estimated hard and soft savings. If you need help completing the sheet or want to discuss how to turn these savings into reality, feel free to get in touch.
So it's just a quick example on how we help companies creating the business case, where they can map hard savings, soft savings, and use the business saving templates that we created to convince the internal stakeholders of the program. The link will also be provided in the QR code that is shared afterwards, and it's defined also in the template that we will provide you with. Now, the approach of this type of projects, very important, involve all the stakeholders and assign a project owner so that you really can manage the expectations of everybody. Be realistic. There's a lot of work to do in the preparation, but also in the execution of the programs or initiatives that you have. An example, data gathering always takes more time than initially expected because you need other people often and access to different types of systems to get those data, and data quality is often a challenge. So having the right data to help you make the decisions or to automate certain processes is really a key element in your approach. Take into account the planning of your colleagues. Use technology and best practices. So you have different technologies available to support you in your initiatives. We list them up also with the advantages and disadvantages in the next chapter. Best practices. Every company that we're talking with think that they are kind of specific or special or different. They are probably right when you look at their core business, but in general, there are not 100 ways possible or possibilities to hire a contractor. So exchange ideas with sister companies or with other companies. Ask for references that you can cross-check your needs and ideas with, because a lot of other companies already did the exercise on the work and made the mistakes so that you don't have to make them again. So talk with other people. And change management, yeah, we often say that change management is important, but also here it's very much underestimated, especially when you implement a new process or a new technology to support you in your project. The way of working that needs to be changed is critical for the success of your project. So helping people step by step in convincing them, selling the idea, and in the new way of working is really very important. And last but not least, it's also an open door, the think big, start small remark. It's also valid for this project. You often have an idea where you want to go to, but the way in getting there can be different for every company or for every type of project. So you have to look at this a bit as a journey. You have a final goal, ideal worlds that you want to go to, but you will have to take different steps before you get there. So enjoy the ride, I would say. And yeah, we're a technology company, so of course we're tackling this subject also. Managing contingent workers is often done through Excel sheets. ERPs, HR systems, applicant tracking systems, for example, or the procurement tools that companies are working with. But for me, it's like doing a race on a Formula One circuit with a Jeep. You will get to the finish, but you will definitely not be there the first one. So depending on your ambition, you really need adapted tools for this. And if you look at tools specialized in contingent workforce management, we're talking about VMS systems, vendor management systems, freelance management systems, planning tools, on and offboarding tools. And what we see in general, if we implement new customers now, we have 3-4 implementations with other systems. So it's not a standalone exercise neither. It's really you start from a solution architecture where you take different solutions into account and you let them communicate with each other. As a conclusion, for me, if you consider contingent workers critical for your organization, well, then you're probably aware also that it comes with a cost and a certain complexity, looking at the market, looking at different supplier communities, contract types. It really demands a different focus and your attention. So our ambition with this webinar is to create you a tool that you can use to support you in your challenges and to help you create a workforce strategy, contingent workforce strategy for the next years that is an answer on your needs. So I don't know if we have any questions or not, or if it was very clear. If you would have questions and you can't ask them now, feel free to reach out. There's also the saving calculator, which we showed a video that can be downloaded. The link is also in the template. And if you need support or a sounding board while you are working or playing with the template, feel free to reach out. We also have a lot of more neutral players that we work with, or consultants that can support you in these challenges. So I would say reach out and let us know. Voila. Thank you for listening to this presentation. I see there is a number of questions coming in. Let me check them. Yes. One of the questions is, do we need a different strategy for the different contract types? Yes, of course, because there are different rules in the market, fiscal impacts, suppliers involved. So negotiating with a temp labor company is different than negotiating with your IT partner for the services. Another question that I see here is, what is the general tendency on prices? What we see now on the market is that prices are under pressure, and that's due to the fact that it's a buyer market. So what we see is that there is less questions that are published to the suppliers, and there are more offers coming in, candidates being proposed. So that means that a supplier now has to work harder to sell the equivalent than 1 year, 2 years ago, and they have less chance to place a candidate. So prices are currently under pressure, and my estimate is that it will be the case for the next year. Voila. So not sure if there are any other questions. If you would have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Anyway. Voila, that's the end of the presentation. I wish you all a very nice day and good luck with your strategy for next year's. Bye-bye.